Well, the prolonged lockdowns due to the coronavirus pandemic has brought severe adverse economic consequences all over the world. Here in Nigeria, the realities of reopening the economy is gradually setting in. Though nobody is exempted, the hardest hit, as usual, are the poor and vulnerable. Rising costs are coming at the people from major sectors at all the same time. Well, to discuss this on our feature, economist and public affairs analyst Oladotu Mabinu rejoins me to discuss the rising cost of living. It's good to have you join us on TVC Breakfast.
Good morning. It's good to be here once again.
Well, the devastating effect of COVID-19, the rising devaluation, rising operational costs, and a tough business environment seem to be giving a rise to the cost of living. How concerned are you when you see the figures?
Well, it is actually very disheartening to see what is happening now. Well, it is totally beyond our control in terms of COVID-19. It's a pandemic. It's something nobody expected, and it's something that is difficult to combat. But before this pandemic, there has been signs that the economy is not doing too well, and it is an opportunity for Nigeria as a nation to come together and then combat this problem. The major problem we have majorly is consumption accounts for about 73% of our GDP, that is the gross domestic product of the nation. If it means anything that affects consumption affects about 73% of the reaction of the economy. And if you look at cost of living, so to speak, it's increasing on a daily basis. Cost of pump price has increased, which we all know that either by the direct consumption in terms of you having your car, or indirect consumption, taking public transport, you surely make use of petrol. Same thing at home or at work or what have you. Then the same thing, issue, tariff on electricity also went up about 40%. Same thing happened to cable subscription, and virtually everything that affects consumption in terms of what we do on a daily basis has gone up. And this, to a very large extent, what they call the cascade effect on the economy. Because if consumption is affected, demand for goods and services being produced will also be affected. So investment is also affected. The entire economy will surely be affected. So it's a multi-headed problem. So it takes it takes serious approach to correct them.
We've seen that in dealing with these problems, the administration, as in line with its ease of doing business mantra, avoided imposing stockholding restrictions. Do you think we're doing so well with our economic growth plan when you look at what the present administration of President Buhari is doing?
You know, one of the problems we have in this country is what they call the policy somersault. President Olusegun Obasanjo came with Vision 2020 and opened, okay, by 2020, Nigeria should be among the top 20 economies in the whole world. That's 2020. Then along the line, Jonathan administration came with a transformation agenda. To a very large extent, Vision 2020 was sidelined. The transformation agenda also again came to untimely death when ERGP came in, that's Economic Recovery and Growth Plan, in 2017 to 2019. I mean, to 2020 came up. Now 2020 is here. Virtually all the plans have their terminal. Have naturally should naturally be terminated by December this year. So President Muhammad Buhari also inaugurated a new plan, that's Vision 2050, that by year 2050 Nigeria should lift about 100 million Nigerians out of poverty. So if you had followed one through, that there is continuity from 2020, won't be where we are today. So doing this on a yearly basis, on a administrative basis, is one administration bringing a new one, not continue the previous one. It's actually a serious problem we're having, and that's what has taken us to where we are this day.
Looking at what the National Steering Committee will be doing, in the next, or what the plans they will inaugurate or come up with for the next 30 years, let's look beyond the reservations. How practical can these initiatives be in revamping the economy?
Well, we can't talk ourselves out of the problems we walked ourselves into. We walked into this problem, so we should also walk out of it, not talk out of it. So it's not by talking. If we actually check the Vision 2050, the president actually means well for the economy or for Nigerians. And if you check the plans to go about it, one is to develop human capital, which is our best. In fact, it's far more than the so-called natural resource. Our human capital is top-notch in the whole world. That's why if you go to every economy that we have, Nigerians are always representing us very well. It's also talking about infrastructural development. Our infrastructure are the moribund states, so it's a very good opportunity for us to develop them. Then power is not something we should joke with. And we also check the plan. Power is also one of the also takes prominent attention of the administration. So if they can work on all these, work on infrastructure, work on power supply, work on human resource, human capital, then the vision can be is achievable. We can't just say we want to lift 100 million people in the next 30 years. How do you want to do that? There should be plans on ground. So if you put on the plan on ground, then let us work it out. Let us work the plan. One is to plan the work, then let us work the plan this time around. So it is a very laudable arrangement, or a very laudable document. But I would suggest that the government should, to a very large extent, develop whatever they have said they want to do. They should work towards it and ensure that those things come to reality.
Well, the pricing template for electricity tariff is receiving much criticism because it's coincidental with the upward adjustment of petrol. Plus, the impact of COVID-19 is still hard on many businesses and households. What sort of sustainable pricing template should we adopt to be sensitive for the to the plight of the masses?
I think at this juncture, government needs to come in terms of palliatives. When I say palliatives, I don't mean financial palliatives, that is giving money to people, because that's, in essence, will also lead to inflation, will cause inflation, which will cause what they call demand pull inflation, too much money in the economy, chasing very few goods. So government should come in terms of ease of doing businesses, ease of doing business, and at the same time, palliatives in terms of cost of production. They can, at this juncture, go to especially Manufacturing Association of Nigeria. What exactly do you need in terms of ease of doing businesses, in terms of reducing your cost of production? Because when cost of production comes down, price of goods and services will come down, and consumers can conveniently buy these goods. Because when inflation rises, it puts pressures on consumers' income. What you have been spending 30 naira on, now you're spending 50 naira on, and income refuses to grow. So to a very large extent, it has reduced your purchasing power, your ability to buy things, to buy goods and services. So what government can do, if you can increase income, then they should reduce cost of production. By reducing cost of production, goods become affordable, then people can buy what have been produced, and the economy can grow. Because without consumption, the economy will surely will not grow. Because I've had one negative decline, one negative GDP now. We don't know what will come in the next quarter or 3-4 quarters after that.
We've seen the unemployment rate increase. The GDP performance recorded a contraction in the second quarter. Inflation is soaring. In June, inflation rate jumped to 12.40%, the highest in over 2 years. So going back to the pricing, is it really a bad time for the country?
In fact, it's one of the worst period in terms of economy to talk as we are right now, in the sense that inflation is rising, unemployment is growing, and again, when you put all inflation and unemployment together, the addition of the two is what they call misery index. Our unemployment rate is about 27.1, inflation to 12.81. By the time you add it together, you have almost 40% misery index, and misery index are seen to be positively correlated with crime rate. That is, as misery index is rising, crime rate will also increase. So just that, to a very large extent, we still have some moral issues or some ethical issues restraining people from going to crime. If there's other crimes, almost 40% misery index means the economy should be set ablaze in terms of people crime rates increasing. But to the very large extent, we are still having it being curtailed. But we shouldn't push people to the extreme where they will get to the point where there will be nothing to eat other than to go into robbery and other crimes. So this is why all these variables, all those macroeconomic variables are very, very important. They are not things we just, okay, it's just inflation, nothing concerns me. It's just unemployment, nothing concerns me. Since I'm going home, I'm going out and then I'm coming back with money. But if there is riot, if there is a security challenge around your environment, it will be difficult for you to even go to so-called work you're talking about. If price of goods and services are soaring high on a daily basis, it becomes always very difficult for you to even purchase what you have been buying before, because the so-called income you have that is not increasing and cost of goods and services are increasing. Pressures will be on it, then your savings will surely come down, because a report came up by NDIC, that's the Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation, in 2016, and was told that 98% of Nigerians have less than 500,000 deposits in their less than 500,000 deposits. So that's a serious challenge, because we all know that savings, which is deposits here, is the supply source of loanable fund. That means investors here, as the case may be, don't have enough money to borrow because people refuse to save. Imagine 98% of Nigerians having less than 500,000 in their account. I mean, in their deposit account. That's a serious challenge, and that's a serious problem to improving investments in the economy.
Indeed, that's our stark reality. Oladotun Mabinuri, thank you so much for talking to us about the economic realities here in Nigeria.
Thank you for having me once again.